This is the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. Today is Friday, the 17th of June 2021. And it's my pleasure to welcome to Eri House somebody who has been a partner in the vision, a supporter and friend of Eri House from the beginning. I'm talking of Comrade Tochukwu Henry Chidebelu.
Thank you very much.
Toshi, you are welcome to the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you also. Like we said, you have been a friend, a partner, a supporter of this vision right from the onset. And that makes it a special pleasure to have you with us here.
The pleasure is actually mine.
Well, we are not going to fight over whose pleasure it is. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Yes, but at least we agree about one thing. It is a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
I know it is a homecoming
Yes.
for you and for us here too. At this special time in the life and the history of Umueri, we are going into the elections, the Umueri General Assembly elections,
Yes.
and we understand you are a contestant.
Of course. Exactly. I'm a contestant.
Praise God. Now you are contesting for the post of treasurer, I understand?
You are correct.
Treasurer.
You are correct.
Thank you very much. And now let's go. Let's take it straight.
Okay.
Yes. So Tochi,
Yes.
you are contesting for the post of treasurer of Umueri
Correct.
General Assembly, UGA, in the general elections scheduled for Tuesday, the 22nd of June 2021.
Exactly.
Toshi, are you qualified for that post?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. You know, first of all, like I said, it's a pleasure being here. I'm happy that I am now one of the persons that have been granted an opportunity to speak in this wonderful platform. So, going straight to the question you asked, whether I am qualified, without missing words rather, I think I am qualified.
Toshi, what makes you think you are qualified to be treasurer Umueri General Assembly?
Yes. Like I said, without missing words, I have looked at it from all perspectives. Apart from the fact that I am Ezubonye Umueri, I also have the character, and I have the principle, and I have the paper qualifications, name it. So to be a treasurer of this wonderful community called Umueri, it's not a rocket science. So I have all it takes to do the job. I have the integrity, if you may, and I have the capacity. Whichever way you look at it, I think I'm qualified.
And now you mentioned it, can we talk about the paper qualification?
Yes.
Can you give us an insight into that?
Okay. I think I'll not be sounding so immodest to say that whatever academic requirement anybody could wish for to even be the governor of this state. I have it. Not only do I have my first school leaving certificate, I have my O-level results. I also have my national certificate in education, NCE. But before that, I also have OND, diploma in computer science, before going further to acquire my national certificate in education, NCE. I also proceeded to University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I obtained my BSc ED in counseling psychology, and I'm also a master's degree student, even though I'm almost through, but it's safe to say that I'm still a student of counseling education, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Mariam. In a couple of months, I'll also be through with that. And I'm not stopping there. Like so many people who already know me, I love education. When I'm through with that, I'm proceeding for my PhD. And if there is any other cadre in education, I will still do it. So, in terms of qualification, you can judge by yourself.
Wow, Toshi, that is really intimidating, and I think I would congratulate you on that, what you have achieved in that area of education.
Thank you very much.
So early, and the wonderful thing about it is that you are not even resting on your horse. You are thinking of, going all the way to the top. I see you getting there, and I on my own behalf, on behalf of Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture, and Dumweri people, I think we want to see you there, right there at the top.
Thank you.
But I think, Tochi, seriously speaking, don't you think you ought to have gotten the PhD? Do you think these ones are enough? The PhD, don't you think you should have waited and get the PhD first before talking about being a treasurer? You really think what you have now is sufficient?
Like I said earlier, I have in mind that I would proceed for my PhD, but I don't also consider it as a requirement before becoming a treasurer. I mean, anybody can do the work of a treasurer, not necessarily somebody who has acquired all educational qualification. The most important thing is to understand the job, to have the character, to have the personality, because at the end of the day, you'll be managing funds. This fund belonging to the community. So it will not be nice to say that until I acquire PhD, until then, would I become the treasurer of the community? I think it doesn't make sense. I already have what it takes to be the treasurer, so I wouldn't say I want to wait to have PhD. No. It doesn't make sense for me as far as I'm concerned. Yes.
Thank you, Tochi, for that. And but the matter still remains of everything you think qualifies you for this position. Which one do you think is more important or the most important? What do you think should be the most important requirement in somebody who is going to be a treasurer of an organization as large, as prestigious, and as critical as Umeri General Assembly at a time like this?
Okay, for me, even though there are different opinions to this, but for me, I believe that most importantly, among all other requirements, is the ability to keep records. The ability to keep records of all transactions, both receipted ones. You know, the office of a treasurer is such that it's so unique that aside your integrity to be able to manage funds or take care of any amount of money that has been entrusted in your hand, included is your ability to keep records of it. You see, so I am a record keeper. I'm such a person that gives due diligence to keeping records. because one thing about keeping records is it helps for accountability. If you don't keep records, there's no way and you can get proper account. There's no way you can properly account without records. So amongst other qualifications, amongst other criteria I think I have, included is the ability to keep records of financial dealings. I know how to keep records. You can be rest assured.
But I don't know if I agree with you there, because the primary duty of a treasurer, is it to keep accounts? Is it to keep records? Is it not to keep money? After all, is it not to keep the money?
You are right.
Now, I thought you were going to say you have a strong room or you have one big safe that nobody can break where you put the money.
Anyway, you see, it is time for us to kind of analyze this office of a treasurer. You know,
I'm interested.
Some persons would believe that as a treasurer, your duty is to house money, to keep money. No, I don't actually agree with that.
I sure you get what put your say so.
I think the work of a treasurer, even though it is generally believed that you keep money, but I think the work of a treasurer is to house the money, not in your personal account, but in the community's account. So not necessarily that they are giving you to keep. They are giving you to go and keep. And that you must do within 48 hours, at least according to the UGA constitution. But I am assuring you that I will do that under 24 hours. Once you are given a fund or you are entrusted with a fund, it is not for you to keep it as a treasurer. It is for you to take it to the bank. And remember, even as a treasurer, there are certain amounts of money you don't receive by cash. What you simply do is to give out the account number, the community's account number to the payee, who will now go and pay, do the lodgement, and come back with a teller. And it is now your duty to issue receipt. And it is based on that I am telling you that after issuing the receipt, you should be able to keep records, the duplicates of receipts you have issued for accountability purposes. So it is not true that what a treasurer does is to go and keep money. You don't keep money with you as a treasurer, you go to lodge it.
When you are telling me to but that's at your level, yes. But for people like myself who are novices and lay people in financial matters, I would have thought the whole thing is about keeping the money and then letting us have it when we want it. And then if what you are saying is so, then how then does the duty of a treasurer differ from the duty of a financial secretary? Okay. After all, we're going to have a financial secretary.
Yes.
So now, what's the difference?
Okay. At least, there are some school of thoughts who have different theories about the duties of a financial secretary, the duties of a treasurer, and what have you. But there's something we must also understand. In any government, in any administration, there are the people who could refer to as the financial house. In this case, the financial house would be the President General, the Financial Secretary, and the Treasurer. Now, these three set of persons have a duty or is bound by duty to work together. They have no option but to work together. The work of the President General is different from the work of the Financial Secretary. The work of the Financial Secretary is different from that of a Treasurer. But coming back to the question you asked, how does the work of a Treasurer differ from that of a Financial Secretary? It is very simple. The Financial Secretary, by the definition, has a duty, and I think it is also in the Constitution, well defined. I think it's section 3. If you go to item 7 and you read that, you will see where it is clearly stated what the Financial Secretary is supposed to do. The Financial Secretary sometimes is supposed to generate or receive the money, whichever way you look at it, and then hand over to the Treasurer. The Financial Secretary also has a responsibility of coordinating the financial house. Maybe there is somebody who is owing the community or somebody who is supposed to do some lodgement. The financial secretary is supposed to take records of that too, of the lodgement. The financial secretary is supposed to also facilitate the transfer of the fund or the receipt of the fund, but it is the duty of the treasurer to receive it and proceed to the bank. So sometimes the two work are interwoven, but they have clearly separate and defined duties in the UGA constitution. But there is no how they can't work together. Sometimes their work, the two offices are synonymous to each other, but there are clear differences.
What would you say is the essential difference?
The essential difference is in the act. The financial secretary doesn't go to do the lodgement. It is the treasurer that goes to do the lodgement. You remember we're talking about checks and balances now. Before the treasurer could proceed to the bank, the financial secretary must have taken records of the money that entered. Keep the records. But the treasurer, it is the duty of the treasurer to house it. But like I said before, you are not housing in your own account, but you are housing in the official account.
Tochi, what does it really matter whose house you house the money? The important thing is to house it.
No,
if there's no chance no space in the UGA account, you can house it in your own.
No. In fact, as a matter of fact, it should be a gross misconduct. In St. Claims, you do not use your private account to do public transactions. So it really matters where you house it. And that is why I've always argued that I am on grant. I am on grant to do this job. It's not a case of somebody wants to pay him money and I said, okay, I'm far away somewhere. Can you please transfer it to my account? Then when that person transfers it into my account, before I could now transfer to UGA's account. When you do that, you're not only making the process stressful, you're also incurring some financial losses, because when the person pays into your account, personal account, remember there's going to be a surcharge for that, for receiving. I'm not quite conversant with CBN's policies nowadays, but I'm sure that there is going to be a surcharge. And for you to also transfer from your account to maybe the community's account, there's also going to be a surcharge for that. So you see, at the end of the day, you make the whole process stressful. But if you're on grant, you do not necessarily need to issue your account number for payers to pay or debtors to pay. You are on grant to collect the money and proceed to the bank. But if it is a large sum of money, you are still duty bound to give out the community's account and not yours. So it really matters. To answer your question, it really matters where you house the money.
So if in spite of all this,
yes,
some money get missing, whose fault would you say it would be? Would it be the fault of the treasurer, the financial secretary, the president, or where would you put the blame?
Okay, like I said earlier, I tried to paint a picture of what I call a financial house. You see, and that is why I always lay much emphasis on record keeping. If the treasurer is doing his work or her work, do diligently and is keeping all the records, anytime there is loss of money, it will be traceable. It will be traceable. Remember, any money that goes into the account, for it to leave the account, there must be signatories. There must be signatories for the withdrawal. So, if by any shape or form there is money gets missing, at least from the process of signing the money and withdrawal, the record of the treasurer will show where the loophole is coming from.
Are you then saying that it's not possible for money to miss in an organization, whether private or public sector? It's not possible that it must be traceable?
It is possible for money to miss, but it is also possible that it should be traced. And that is where record keeping matters a lot. The treasurer bring out the receipts you've issued for maybe for some months or for some years. Let us see your records. The financial secretary bring your records. Let us marry them. Let us know where the loophole is coming from. Okay, the president, do you do 1 or 2 withdrawals? If so, can we see the statement of account and what have you? So it is only a record that can prove whether there is a loss of money or not.
So, assuming now, let's take for instance that you are determined to commit fraud in an organization.
Yes.
Who would you work with? The financial secretary, the treasurer, or the president of who? How would you go about it?
Okay, this question is more like asking me to play the devil's.
Okay, so you are free to be the devil's advocate without pay.
Anyway, let me.
If you remember, if you are the devil's advocate, then the devil will pay your wages.
Anyway, let me first of all state categorically clear that there wouldn't be any time I would want to commit fraud. I have never committed fraud.
No, I know you now. You are my friend, but yes. We are talking about a theoretical situation.
Okay.
Who do you think will be in the best position? The financial secretary or the treasurer? So that the money will just disappear without trace. No, maybe a snake will swallow it, or monkey will jump over the fence with it.
I don't actually believe that it's possible for money to disappear. Money can never disappear. The only time money will disappear is money that is not recorded. And that is why I am very, very particular about the keeping records. For your money to disappear, it is money that is not recorded. For instance, somebody is paying a due, or somebody want to pay him money, and the financial secretary is not recording it. The treasurer is not recording it. Such money would be easy to develop legs. But once there is record, the money is going nowhere.
No tiger can swallow it. No python can swallow it.
And that is where the integrity comes. Who has the integrity to say, okay, this money must be recorded? Who is on ground? Who is readily available to make sure to follow every fund to make sure it is recorded? So once there is record, forget it. The money is going nowhere.
But there's something they say in auditing. We say that a determined defrauder working in collusion with management can circumvent any accounting system, no matter how well prepared.
Yes.
A determined defrauder working in collusion with management. And management here is the people you call the financial powerhouse of the organization, the treasurer, the financial secretary, and the president or president general. And accounting auditing theory says that a determined defrauder working in collusion with these people can circumvent any system.
Yes. I agree. After all, even in developed climes, they still
manage
to embezzle money. But what is important? Even this technology that we rely upon most of the times could be boggled, and things are happening. And that is why at the end of the day, I would also fall back to my integrity as a person. That I wouldn't be in an organization or in a society where I will be part, whether directly or indirectly, with people planning to defraud the community. It's not going to work for me. And I will be the first to raise an alarm. As a matter of fact, some persons has asked me, why is this office so much important to you? Why?
I was going to ask that. Yes.
Why not other positions? Why not going for the secretary or any other position? And I've always said that one of the major problems and challenges we have in our community, I'm sorry to say this, it's accounting, rendering an account. It has been an age-long problem. So, and I've always been by the side, criticizing, throwing the bullet. Do account, I've always been on the sideline, trying to criticize all the inability of leaders to account, to do proper account. Now, a time came, I said, wait a minute, why always by the side, criticizing? Why don't you get involved and go and do it now? Get involved. And this is the same thing they are telling us in Nigeria today. It is easier for an average Nigerian youth to sit down behind the keyboard and criticize. Why don't you get involved? Bring the change you desire. Make it work. So that one alone was a motivating force for me. I said, okay, Tochi, it is time to get involved. that thing you love to see, come in and make it work. And that alone is a motivating factor for me. And that's why I've decided to come. And I'm assuring in Ndumweri, you will be getting, if not weekly, update on the financial dealings of the UGA. Weekly, I repeat, weekly update. Even when there is a zero naira alert, you will hear it that there is a 0 naira alert. And if there is a 1 naira alert, you will hear it.
Thank you, Tochi. I'm already so excited. I just wish the elections were tomorrow so that we can just have you as a UGA. We're actually running out of time. We just have a few very short time left. But let me see if I can just squeeze in just one question. Okay. Now, how is the field you are running against in this contest? Are you unopposed, or do you have one or two other people who are also candidates?
Okay, it takes a lot to be a politician, I must say. I wasn't trained as a politician originally. I was trained as a teacher. For those who know me, I was trained as a teacher. So for some times now, I have been trying to wear the toga of a politician, but not that type of politician, you know. So I would say that I am in the contest. I don't know of any other person who is in the contest, politically speaking, and the field is so interesting. It's so interesting, you know. The hallmark of democracy and good governance is contest. You know, it gives you an opportunity to test your popularity and also remind you never to be desperate, because desperation takes a lot. You see.
Actually, I want to ask. I know you have one or two, about 2-3 of you contesting for this position. What do you think is the greatest challenge you are going to have as you campaign for this?
Okay, the greatest challenge, if I could lay my hand on any, would be the ability to convince an average Umwerian that you would not be like others.
You think you're going to have that problem of convincing the people?
Yes, because our system has been so bastardized that whatever you say will be classified as the language of politicians.
And it will be held in how do the police say it? Whatever you say will be held in
against
you.
And that is why I find it very difficult to say much, you know, because the actual job is in the doing, not in the talking. You see, so the challenge would be how to convince an average woman that, wait, I'm not talking as the usual commercial politician. Yeah. I'm telling you what is practicable. You see, but Tochi, so far so good. I think we are
Tochi, I'm going to look straight at me. I'm going to look deep into you. Can you see my eyeballs?
Yes,
I'm going to ask this question. You know, that's like the game of how do you say, truth or dare?
Yes.
Okay, Tochi, assuming now that you are one of the people competing against yourself in this election, what would you use against yourself?
Okay, what I would use against myself is my guts.
No, I mean, what would somebody accuse you of? Somebody who was your opponent in this?
That is what I'm telling you.
Yes.
The only thing the person who accused me of is my guts. There's this type of guts I have, and that has placed me in arm's way against some persons. You know, I represent so many things to so many persons, but the underlying factor that leads to this is the guts. There is this guts that I would always stand up, and as a matter of fact, that is also what preceded the name Common Man, because I would when I see people who takes the position of God, who maybe no matter how highly connected they are, no matter how wealthy they are, no matter how highly placed they think they are, and then now decides to take the place of God, people like Tochi Henry will have the God to walk up to you and tell you that you're only but a common man.
Tochi, I think let's just, I was going to call, but we're going to take a break.
Yes.
And then we'll come back because I want to pursue some of this. I've really enjoyed this, and let's take this as part 1. We're going to have a part 2 right now. So let's just take a little break. I will come to this. So friends out there, Ndumweri, this is the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. Today is Thursday, the 17th, I believe, 17th of June 2021, and I have been here at Erie House chatting with Tochi Henry Shidebelu, who is the candidate for one of the candidates for the position of treasurer of Umueri General Assembly in the elections coming up on Tuesday, 22nd of June 2021. You have heard him, and you are still going to hear him in part 2 again. I will leave it to your judgment to say exactly what. From myself, let's just leave it. So join us again in part 2 of this interview as we look at a few other issues concerning Tochi and concerning the office. Meanwhile, I want to ask you to subscribe to our channel so that you'll be able to see the rest of the interview, part 2 and part 3 of this interview. And also, we'll be interviewing other candidates also for different positions in these present elections. If you look just a little below this video, you will see a subscribe in red. If you just click on that, click on it, then you will subscribe to make sure that you will be the first to know when we upload part 2 and part 3 of this interview, and then other interviews, other videos having to do with Igbo history and culture from our studios here at the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture, Eri House, Agwaka Umueri. Thank you for being with us. Join us again in part 2. See you there. God bless you.